Hey scholars, so today is Friday, and for our lesson, I am just actually going to read to you from our chapter book Read Aloud, The One and Only Ivan, and I will have one or two questions for you about this book on Seesaw. That will be one of your activities you have to do, and then the other activity is going to be the same thing you've been doing all week, so by now you should be really good at it. You're going to choose an independent reading book on Raz-Kids or Epic, and then you're going to complete the activity, which is telling me who the characters are and drawing them. And then you're drawing the setting. You can use words to describe the setting too. And then you're telling me when it takes place. So where it takes place and when. So that might be it takes place during the day. Maybe it takes place at night. Maybe it takes place nowadays. Maybe it takes place over a week. There are many, many, many different possibilities. And Tilly really wants to be a part of this. Hi, Tilly. All right. The One and Only Ivan. Shapes in clouds. I think I've always been an artist. Even as a baby, still clinging to my mother, I had an artist's eye. I saw shapes in the clouds and sculptures in the tumbled stones at the bottom of a stream. I grabbed at colors, the crimson flower just out of reach, the ebony bird streaking past. I don't remember much about my early life, but I do remember this. Whenever I got the chance, I would dip my fingers into cool mud and use my mother's back for a canvas. She was a patient soul, my mother. Imagination. Someday, I hope I can draw the way Julia draws, imagining worlds that don't yet exist. Speaking of drawing, I'm going to just pause for a second and say, if you have a piece of paper, if you have a little piece of paper, a big piece of paper, and you have a pencil, or if you have some coloring tools, it would be really cool and really fun if while I was reading, you drew what you imagined in your mind, if you visualized the story. So what you could do is you could draw Ivan, you could draw the setting, but that's a really great skill you can do while listening to a story, is draw what you're imagining in your mind. So I was just thinking I would have probably, if I could draw while I'm reading, I would probably draw a picture of Ivan as a little baby with his hand in mud, and then another picture of him smearing the mud on his mom's back. I like that. And maybe when I'm done reading, I'll draw that. But you could draw some different things that you're imagining, and you don't have to. If you want to just read, that's fine. You can close your eyes and imagine if you want. But if you draw or if you visualize, I would love to see it. You should send it to me on Seesaw. Maybe I'll put some of them in our morning meeting PowerPoint. All right. I know what most humans think. They think gorillas don't have imaginations. They think we don't remember our pasts or ponder our futures. Come to think of it, I suppose they have a point. Mostly I think about what is, not what could be. I've learned not to get my hopes up. The loneliest gorilla in the world. When the Big Top Mall was first built, it smelled of new paint and fresh hay, and humans came to visit from morning till night. They drifted past my domain like logs on a lazy river. Lately, a day might go by without a single visitor. Max says he's worried. He says I'm not cute anymore. He says, "Ivan, you've lost your magic, old guy. You used to be a hit." Oh, I wonder how Ivan feels about that. It's true that some of my visitors don't linger the way they used to. They stare through the glass. They cluck their tongues. They frown while I watch my TV. Clucking your tongue, it's kind of like the sound a chicken makes, like a chicken's cluck, but you go like this. Try it. So they go like this. He looks lonely, they say. Not long ago, a little boy stood before my glass, tears streaming down his smooth red cheeks. "He must be the loneliest gorilla in the world," he said, clutching his mother's hand. At times like that, I wish humans could understand me the way I can understand them. It's not so bad, I wanted to tell the little boy. With enough time, you can get used to almost anything. TV. My visitors are often surprised when they see the TV Mac put in my domain. They seem to find it odd. The sight of a gorilla staring at tiny humans in a box. Sometimes I wonder, though, isn't the way they stare at me sitting in my tiny box just as strange? Lola! It's interesting. So they think it's strange that Ivan is watching a TV, right? Who here watches TV? Anybody? I know sometimes I like to watch TV. He's saying like, but you guys are staring at me because he's kind of in a box too, and they're staring at him. So he's saying, isn't it kind of strange too? Do you think that's just as strange? Have you ever been to the zoo? Maybe if you've been to the zoo and you've watched animals and their habitats, I think it's kind of similar. Except Ivan is not at a zoo, is he? He's at this Big Top, and I always forget the Big Top Mall. So imagine at a mall. Imagine the Mall of America. Imagine there's like a space where there are different animals in cages. So that's kind of like where he lives. My TV is old. It doesn't always work, and sometimes days will go by before anyone remembers to turn it on. I'll watch anything, but I'm particularly fond of cartoons with their bright jungle colors. I especially enjoy it when someone slips on a banana peel. Bob, my dog friend, loves TV almost as much as I do. He prefers to watch professional bowling and cat food commercials. Remember, he's a dog. He likes to watch professional bowling. I know one of you, Antron, you just went bowling for your birthday, I think. Has anyone else been bowling before? So this dog likes to watch people bowl on TV, and also he likes to watch cat food commercials. That's kind of funny. I might have that be one of my questions for you. Why do you think he likes to watch cat food commercials? Bob and I have seen many romance movies, too. In a romance, there's much hugging and sometimes face licking. I have yet to see a single romance starring a gorilla. We also enjoy old Western movies. In a Western, someone always says, "This town ain't big enough for the both of us, Sheriff." In a Western, you can tell who the good guys are and who the bad guys are, and the good guys always win. Bob says Westerns are nothing like real life. The Nature Show. I have been in my domain for 9,855 days. Alone. For a while, when I was young and foolish, I thought I was the last gorilla on Earth. I tried not to dwell on it. Still, it's hard to stay upbeat when you think there are no more of you. Then one night, after I watched a movie about men in black hats with guns and feeble-minded horses, a different show came on. It was not a cartoon, not a romance, not a Western. I saw a lush forest. So lush means that there's a lot of green and there's a lot of plants. So if you think about when all the snow melts and all of a sudden when you go outside, everything is green and it's blooming and there's flowers, that's what lush looks like. So he saw a lush forest. So he saw a forest with lots of plants, lots of trees, lots of green. Everything was alive. Like right now in the fall, it's not very lush because the leaves are falling. I heard birds murmuring. The grass moved, the trees rustled. Then I saw him. He was a bit threadbare and scrawny, and not as good looking as I am, to be honest. But sure enough, he was a gorilla. As suddenly as he'd appeared, the gorilla vanished, and in his place was a scruffy white animal called, I learned, a polar bear. And then a chubby water creature called a manatee. And then another animal and another. All night I sat wondering about the gorilla I'd glimpsed. Where did he live? Would he ever come to visit? If there was a he somewhere, could there be a she as well? Or was it just the two of us? Or was it just the two of us in all the world, trapped in our own separate boxes? Ooh, the next chapter is Stella. I'm going to read this next chapter to you next time. Stella is another character who we have just kind of been introduced to, but we're going to learn more about Stella next week. So right now, if I was going to do a breakdown and talk about the characters in the setting, I would say that the main character, or one of the characters, is Ivan, and I would draw Ivan, right? I would draw him. And I would say that another character is Mac, and Mac is the person, like I would just draw a person, because we don't really know exactly what he looks like, but he's a man, and he is in charge of the Big Top Motel. And I'd probably draw Bob, because we know Bob is a little dog, and I know how to draw dogs. So I would say those are three of the big characters, but we also know about the girl who draws Julia. So you could draw Julia too. Yeah, there's quite a few characters, but our main character is definitely Ivan. And then the setting, it'd be fun to draw the setting. So the setting right now is really, it's Ivan's domain. So it's basically a box. And he's told us different things about what's inside. And one of the things that we know is there's an old TV inside. So if anyone is going to visualize or draw a picture of the setting, or send me a picture through Seesaw of like what you're visualizing or imagining, you could definitely draw the domain and include a TV. And you could even on the screen it talks about different types of shows he watches. You could even put that in there, put cartoons or westerns or something. And then when does it take place? Well, it's kind of hard to tell when it takes place, I think, but I would say it doesn't seem like it takes place in the past. So I would say it takes place now, because we don't really, it's kind of hard to tell since it's just Ivan's perspective. Ivan is telling us his story. All right, I'm going to put a couple questions on Seesaw about what I read today. I hope you're enjoying this book. Don't forget, do your independent reading. Take a screenshot of the book you read so I can see. And I think that's it. Make sure you get all of your work done, and I hope you have a great weekend.